Today we're bedding sweet potatoes and we are blessed that you're here with us.
What we done yesterday, we hauled in some compost. It's sawdust and horse manure from a horse barn. And what this is going to do is going to create heat. This is going to go through a heat stage, and that's going to warm those potatoes up so they'll sprout. That's what a potato wants. It wants to some warmth so it'll sprout. So that's what we're doing today.
So today we're going to be bedding up some potatoes. Now bedding them up means that we're going to have them growing their little plants to plant in the garden. These are not the ones that are going to actually grow the plants yet. And in my basket is the potatoes that I wrapped up from last year's harvest and individually wrapped them so that they wouldn't get disease from one to the other, and it keeps them darker so they don't sprout during the wintertime. So these are the Morosky's and they're ready to go into the ground. We got 4 different types: Covington, Morosky, State Market, and what's the other one, Daddy? Tennessee Red. And what we're after is little plants. I've got one in my pocket here that's already got a little plant on it. Now, all potatoes has got eyes. Everybody knows about the eyes in a potato. But what happens with those eyes when they get moist and get sun and get into some dirt, they will start blooming. And when those plants get 6 to 8 inches tall, that's what we're going to put in our garden. And every potato plant will grow a dozen or more little plants. So one potato is going to grow us a lot of plants, just depends on how many eyes is on the potato. See, here's another little one on this side growing. So that's what we're doing today. We want to show you how you can start your own sweet potatoes and how easy it is. So here we are, we got our little bed. Now remember folks, this bed doesn't have to be anything special. It can be anything. We just happen to have access to sawdust, raw sawdust and horse manure. But if all you've got is a little bit of dirt, that's absolutely fine. Now, each row is the different kind of potatoes. Got the Morosky, the Tennessee Red, the Covington, and the State Market. And that's how we're going to put them in the garden. These are the same rows that they're going to be when we transfer the little plants out into the garden. Okay.
Yeah, we're ready to cover them up now. You can already feel the warmth in this right here. It's going to make them sprout. You want them about an inch and a half, 2 inches deep at the most. You don't want them real deep because you want the sprouts to be able to come up through pretty quickly. And we're fixing to cover them up now.
Do you have to pack the dirt down on top of them, or can you do it loose?
I just pack it a little bit.
Now, sweet potatoes from the store have been treated with a kind of stuff that keeps them from sprouting. So you really, unless that's the last place you can get sweet potatoes from, try to get most seed stores have them, or you can order them online. But, or you got a neighbor that grows sweet potatoes. And most people like us, we're going to share these slips. There'll be so many slips here that we won't be able to use them all. So we want to share them. So just like 2 of these varieties, the goats ate them, and I didn't have any seed. So I had to go to my neighbor, the Brown Farm, Milk and Honey Farm, to get some more potato seeds. And that way, everybody always has some sets. And I'm going to share them with another neighbor that you're going to meet. So this is how easy it is, guys. You got a little sawdust, throw you some sweet potatoes in here, and in a few days they're going to be sprouting up on top of this, and we'll show you that. Petey's going to get them nice and moist for us, water them down, and we generally try to keep them pretty moist because they are sprouting new plants and we don't want them to burn up in this compost. So see they're not very far under the surface, and one's already poking out a little bit. So we'll cover that one back up, and that's going to happen, and that's okay because they're not supposed to be under the surface too much. They've got to be able to see the sunshine because that's what they're reaching for. And another thing is I've got these written down inside, so I used to put little tabs on the ends to which ones is which, and they'd always get lost or faded out. I've just not found a good way to keep them separated. But guys, I do it on notebook paper. You don't have to have a real complicated computer program or a real expensive gardening book to write down what you're growing. Notebook paper, you know, the kind that's 97 cents for a pack and will last you 10 years in your gardening book. Yeah, that's what I've been using the whole time, and it works just fine, and it's really nice to look back on what you've grown. But that's the only way I can remember what I've put where, because you always think you're going to remember, but you never do. Willie Lamb's here. These are overgrown greens, and this is why I left them here. I don't have bees, but somebody's bees are coming and visiting, and they are loving. Woo! The wind just blew him off. But these are way past due to being gotten out of here, but we're leaving them just for these fellas. And sometimes you just do that. You might not be able to help a person today, but this little guy here, they're helping us.
We're getting ready to set our onions today, and a lot of people likes to use a little bulb, but we don't have much luck with a little bulb. The bulbs, we set them and they'll go to they'll grow a little while and then they'll go to seed, and the plant will actually bloom out, and we don't make no onions. But we started setting these. You plant a seed and let it come up and grow, and it puts a little green top on them, and then you set this, and this should make a great big onion. So that's what we're hoping for. So we're getting ready to set today. Here's our bed. We're ready to set our onions. We're going to set them in like 6 by 6 squares to give them plenty of room to make a big onion. You set them too close and they won't rob out the other onion where it won't make a big onion. But I want to make big onions this time, so I'm going to set them in 6 by 6 blocks, and that'll give them plenty of room to grow. And I want you to look at this dirt. We have been working on this dirt for 10 years, hauling in manure and letting it rot and compost, and right here's what we've got. This was just red clay when we started. We had graded here and it wasn't nothing but red clay when we started, and this is what we've got now. And we'll show you what the onions does later on in the summer. Want to set them about 1 inch deep because you don't want too much dirt
on your onion. You want to keep all the dirt pulled away from an onion.
Another thing we wanted to show y'all today is our fig bushes. Now these are on the south side of our little summer kitchen, and they are just now starting to bud back out. Now sometimes when there's been a real hard winter, they will die all the way back down to the ground. Here's an example of one last year that had done that. And they won't bloom on the tops, but this year they didn't get killed all the way to the ground, and they are budding from the top. So that means a few extra figs, or not a few, but a bunch of extra figs this year, and we're real excited about that. So if you haven't started growing figs yet, they do need a little bit of protection from the north. So if you could put them anywhere around a house, a building, another big tree, that is a great place to grow them. And these have just become monsters. A neighbor across the road had introduced me to these, and I fell in love with them. And I've never been a fig person at all, but you can make jellies and dry them and eat them raw, and they're just a fun little fruit for kids to come out here and eat. And they're just beautiful, and can't wait to let you see them when they get started. A little bed of sweet potatoes. We're going to have 4 big rows out here, and the rows are about 40 to 50 foot long. Now I'm not saying anybody needs to have that many. We just happen to like sweet potatoes, and they grow real good here, so that's one of our staples. But you can have a small bed like up there, grow you a couple sets, put them in a bed like that, and have you dozens of sweet potatoes. And we just want to encourage everybody to be able to grow.